While some boxing fans are understandably growing disenchanted with crossover fights and circus exhibitions, there's another one potentially brewing that nobody will be able to resist. Months after throwing verbal jabs at one another, a full-on war of words has erupted between UFC legend Conor McGregor and boxing's undisputed super middleweight champion Canelo Alvarez. And the latest exchange of online hostilities has left combat sports fans wondering if the two might actually throw down in the boxing ring. Remember, McGregor has done this before. He got in the ring with Floyd Money Mayweather in 2017 in a crossover extravaganza. And based on the trash he's talking online, it seems like McGregor is keen to do it again with Canelo. Could this actually happen though? Let's break it down. Sit back, relax, and take this in. If it feels like it's been a while since we last saw the notorious Conor McGregor throw down in the octagon, that's because it has. McGregor hasn't fought since breaking his leg in his trilogy fight against Dustin Poirier in July of 2021. And although a much-anticipated return bout against Michael Chandler has been in the works for a while now, UFC President Dana White has said that the former two-division champ won't be back before 2024. However, throughout his more than 2-year hiatus, McGregor hasn't shied away from antagonizing other fighters, especially boxers, presumably in a bid to land himself a lucrative crossover fight. He called out KSI this past summer, and now, for the second time in the last 5 months, he's also called out Canelo Alvarez, who's currently the ring's 4th-ranked pound-for-pound boxer in the world and is unquestionably the biggest star in boxing. McGregor started the proverbial fire by commenting on a social media clip of Alvarez's unforgettable 2013 bout against Mayweather, with the Irishman noting that he himself landed more shots on Floyd when he squared off against him 4 years later. Well, Alvarez didn't take too kindly to that probe and couldn't help but respond, telling McGregor, "I just need one hand with you and I don't need to throw so many punches." And then it was on. McGregor went off in his since-deleted response, calling Alvarez uncooked chicken, hurling threats his way, and seemingly setting the stage for a fight. And Alvarez didn't back down, calling McGregor out for habitually running his mouth and then failing to back it up. And you better believe that McGregor had a retort for that too. Yeah, it got heated. So basically, McGregor, who's been calling guys out left and right, seems to have gotten someone to take the bait in Alvarez. So could a crossover boxing match actually happen? Well, maybe, though probably not anytime soon. Alvarez did recently express a willingness to dip into the crossover/circus realm, noting that he'd be open to fighting social media star Jake Paul, but only after he was done competing at the highest levels of boxing. Translation, he wouldn't entertain high-profile exhibition bouts until he was retired. And his retirement isn't imminent. Alvarez still has 2 fights left on his newly signed $100 million contract with Premier Boxing Champions, and he's previously said that 36 or 37 years old would be a good age for him to retire at. He only turned 33 this past summer. That said, if the two do eventually get in the ring together, the paydays would be extraordinary for everyone involved. McGregor is the most bankable UFC star ever, having headlined 8 of the promotion's 10 most lucrative pay-per-view events, including each of the top 4. Meanwhile, over the last decade, Alvarez has been boxing's highest-grossing pay-per-view attraction in the US after Money Mayweather. And while the McGregor-Alvarez fight likely wouldn't match the numbers of the Mayweather-McGregor crossover, which generated 4.3 million domestic buys and more than $600 million in total revenue, both McGregor and Alvarez would still stand to take home ungodly paychecks given their respective popularity. McGregor, after all, reportedly earned almost $85 million for fighting Mayweather. Now maybe this is all just empty trash talk that won't amount to anything, but maybe it isn't. And unlike so many of the recent crossover fights and star-studded exhibitions, this one would seem to have the makings of a bout that's actually worth watching. 2 titans of their respective sports, with massive fan bases and a seemingly genuine animosity towards one another. No matter how jaded you might be about cash grab fights, when there's this much star power involved, you can't help but tune in. And at the risk of getting ahead of myself, pick a time and place, fellas.